everyone. This is the Know Nothings podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Ray. Welcome in. The Bald Brothers, as Mike's taking care of his mohawk for episode 61. It looks good. It looks good.
I was cutting my hair, and I was trimming up the mohawk, and I made a very, very bad error in judgment, and just really messed it up, and I had to take it all off and start over.
I personally think it looks dashing.
Oh,
a man with a bald head is always.
You look dashing as well,
always.
Sir.
Always setting the fashion pace.
Thanks for dressing up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We both,
T-shirt and bald head as it is. So, man, what's been going on?
Oh, nothing. Let me see. I gotta get. We're on 61.
61? Episode 61, yep. And, man, there's a lot going on. There's so much shit going on in the world, Mike, that you could almost forget that we're like 29 days from an election.
Well, no, doesn't that mean that okay, so we're 29 days from an election. So what's going on? So you got there's multiple viruses that are to scare the crap out of us. That always happens.
Fair enough.
That always happens. What else? There's always things that are going on.
Weather situations, October surprises, but the diddler.
The diddy the diddler?
The diddler's not a distraction. Let's not get into here's we've been screaming, us conspiracy nuts.
Well, okay. I remember many podcasts ago.
Many podcasts.
Many.
40 or 50 podcasts ago.
Many talking about this.
That's right. Before
it even broke anything. And you just knew from just reading between the lines of things that were being said.
I've been following the Pac deal since it happened. And I was like 20, I guess, when Pac was killed. And been following that, and I just kind of stay in the wormhole of that kind of just that bullshit celebrity gossip. I stay enough in it to kind of know what's going on or have my finger on the pulse a little bit.
Yep.
I'm not going to say I'm a prophet or anything crazy, but I'm guaranteed it was over 2 years ago. I was saying these things that are now validated were for sure happening.
And you did. We can go back and find that very easily.
I think on more than one podcast.
I think so.
So I think we're just scratching the surface, though, of this deal. It's so much stuff is coming out now. And look, a lot of it's going to be rumor and innuendo. A lot of it's going to be fact. But what I was saying about some people, I hear people going, "Oh, this is just a distraction of the election."
No.
Listen, folks. This is what we've been screaming about for years, saying, "Hey, why aren't you putting a spotlight on this? Why is no one talking about this? These people are raping children. They're stealing children. They're raping your mothers and daughters and they're doing all these nefarious things to make people celebrities.
They're gatekeeping.
Celebrities
they're
ruling our world.
Stuff.
They're the kings and the princes, and everyone else is just a peasant, and they're allowed to do whatever they want. Somebody's got to pay attention to this. Finally, the whole world is watching. We got to get this right."
So what do you think? Who do you think got really pissed off and then it all came down the pike? Who do you think P. Diddy pissed off to make this come to light? Or was it just too much?
Two things. I think he pissed off the liquor company that he's affiliated with through Ciroc.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. Okay, so he had launched a tequila brand. Now he's tied in with this giant liquor company that owns Ciroc, right? Diddy has never been an owner of Ciroc. What Diddy was the face of Ciroc for X amount of dollars, right?
Okay.
And he took Ciroc from moving, I want to say 24,000 cases a year to 4.6 million cases a year.
Whoa.
So he obviously had a huge impact on their sales, right? Diddy was going to launch a tequila brand in which he wanted the same type of backing and marketing dollars he got through Ciroc. Well, they also had their own tequila. I think Patron is their own brand. So they weren't really giving any marketing dollars. Diddy said this is racism, et cetera, files a lawsuit against that company.
Basically, he wanted a bigger piece. He wanted his own thing and a bigger piece of the pie.
Correct. And guess who owns that liquor company, or is the majority owner?
Who?
You can guess.
I can guess?
It rhymes with Ratcock.
Oh, BlackRock.
BlackRock owns them. And they said, no, you're not fixing to publicly slander us and sue us for $100 million. Hey, DOJ, we want to use a little bit of our influence and power now. We'd like to call in our Joker card, our wild card, and we'd like to show you what we have on this man who's suing us. Because if there's a morality clause in most of these contracts. Mm-hmm. When you have a morality clause, it's going to state yeah, you're entitled to $60 million or $100 million or whatever the number is that you predetermine. However, the morality clause says unless you do something which brings down the value of the brand because of nefarious behavior, anything immoral that could be considered immoral by the general public. That's called a morality clause. Mm-hmm. Well, this would put Diddy in clear breach of the morality clause. So they're the ones that got the ball rolling. The tape coming out of him beating the shit out of Cassie.
Yep. Well, that was brutal.
That didn't help.
That was
right?
awful.
If there's all these rumors and stuff about me, you're going to want nothing going on, nothing coming out. All of a sudden, the tape comes out and I'm beating your ass in the hallway for trying to escape a party.
Dude, when he throws her on the ground and he kicks her, that is a brutal thing to watch. That's real.
Well, that's what
you're used to watching stuff like that in a movie.
Well, this dude's a demon.
That dude just wailed on her.
And it was throwing shit at her. He's the devil. But, like, here's where we need to go further with this, though, Mike. Like, we can't just look at all these people. It's been this ha-ha Hollywood joke for 15 years, so long that I've known about it for 10 probably. It's this huge joke where they're like, oh, yeah, I go to the Diddy parties, but I don't stay to the after. What the fuck do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? Like, if you threw parties and I was like, yeah, of course I always go hang out with Mike, but when they start raping the kids and bringing in the prostitutes and shit, I always leave.
That's where you leave.
If I know about that.
I don't throw those parties, by the way.
If you did,
partying
or if it was like, okay, after podcast, Mike does all these illegal things, I have to disassociate with you. The fact that I just go on, like, late night TV and talk about it like oh, yeah, the Diddy parties get kind of wild after 2 a.m. I've never been there, by the way. You know about this.
That just means you were there. I've never been there, just to make sure.
Even if you weren't there, okay, you're openly admitting on public forums for all these years that you know what's going on. You know how bad it is. You know people are being drugged. People are being raped. There's child prostitution. You know these things are going on, and you just continue to insert yourself in those situations. Bullshit.
Right.
Like,
I saw a picture.
More people have to answer.
You see all these pictures of people at the white parties, and one of them's like Howard Stern.
Of course.
And his wife Beth, and they're there, and it's daytime though. But I would from listening to Howard Stern for years and years and years and years and years, he really does actually, I think, leave early because he gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sure, that he probably does.
He didn't know what was going on.
He probably does leave her. The bottom line is, if I'm hearing if all of my other friends are telling me, "Yo, Mike does X, Y, Z," and I like, oh yeah, and we're just all laughing about it, and I just continue to come around and continue to be your friend, right. I'm a problem.
Right.
I don't see how I'm the only one connecting that dot.
It was like a huge. Well, no, I connect it, but
not just you. I'm talking about in general. Yeah,
right.
yeah. I know you connect.
I'm saying that like Howard has always said, "Can we have the party at 4 p.m.?"
Yeah, because he probably wants to be done. And look, a lot of the people are probably To be fair, a lot of the people are probably just coming to be part of the scene or whatever.
Make contacts.
And when they're telling those jokes about things that are going on, a lot of them are probably just like a lot of our friends who, if you bring it up or whatever, they would talk about like it's a joke, like it's not real. It's so real. It's.
Well, I saw a thing where they said that the baby oil thing, when they had all that baby oil, they also put things in the baby oil,
GHB.
and people would get rubbed down and then not be able to move.
GHB.
And then people would do whatever they wanted to them.
Well, GHB makes you super sexual.
And there was like how many women? Over 1,000?
3,000. Over 3,000 that have come forward. There's 120 vetted cases. That means we've looked at the information, we've looked at the data, we think this is enough to go to trial. There's 120 cases like that. This dude is cooked. He's cooked beyond crispy. He's cooked to the end of time. There is I don't see any path of him getting, but he doesn't just need to go down. We need to take down this whole fucking cabal.
Right.
From top to bottom, from soup to nuts, every single swinging dick who thinks they're better than everybody, who thinks that their money makes them above the law, who thinks there is no law. Like, we cannot just continue to sit around and pretend that like the trafficking of children is like not a big deal.
And then just keep going to their movies.
And then just keep going to their movies, buying their albums and streaming their shit.
Never.
No.
Not anymore.
Everybody, I can't wait to see all the people that come out of this. I can't wait. You're already seeing people scamper.
Every hour something comes out. Diddy's A-list pals quietly paying off victims to avoid being publicly named.
Of course.
Every hour something comes out. Sean Combs' mother says she's devastated and profoundly saddened.
Yeah, but she says she's devastated and profoundly saddened about us. She's trying to put it on me.
Right.
She's trying to say, you're you know, you're making my son guilty before he's been proven guilty in a court of law. Look, I understand. You get a fair trial in America. That's the American justice system. And I've been on record as saying it is the best way for justice to eventually prevail. You may get away with some bullshit for a long time, but our justice system is set up in a way that eventually the chickens come home to roost. You get a fair trial. But right now, just with what we know, that motherfucker guilty.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a judge. You do get a fair trial, but I'm telling you, the dude's cooked in the eye of the public. There's too much stuff.
It's too much.
There's a tape of you beating Cassie, and then the big mistake he made, I think, he came out and admitted to doing that. You know, you saw that tape, right? He was like, "Oh, it was a dark time. You know, it's hard to go back to them dark." He's such a narcissist fuck. Yeah. You know, it's so hard to go back to those dark places. Bitch, it ain't hard for you to go back to those dark places. You love it, sadistic fucker. Like he gets off on that shit.
The worst.
He's a sadist.
He's the pinnacle of all that is wrong with Hollywood. Everything.
Man, I'm so fired up about this shit because, you know, for 20 years probably, I've been talking about the Illuminati. Yeah. And it's just crazy talk. Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's a wild party in the woods where they're like, do sacrifice and rape children and do all this for fame. You're so crazy. All the tinfoil hat wearers, almost all of it comes out. Oh, what do you know?
Yeah.
What do you know? Then they find the place where they're having the Illuminati meetings. You know, the Grove or whatever.
Yeah, the Grove.
Alex Jones finds it, and everybody wants to make Alex Jones. Well, Alex Jones is he's a little unhinged. He's probably unhinged because he knows so much. And when you know that much and no one's doing shit about it, it makes you feel like,
and they're probably like threatening him all the time. So yeah, he's a little on edge.
Yeah. And then you've got,
well, he did make that mistake where he did make a mistake and went after like the Sandy Hook people pretty bad, and
it was huge.
That's backfiring on him right now because he's having to sell his company.
He went too deep in that. So like in the Sandy Hook,
now he doesn't own his company.
There was enough with the Sandy Hook and stuff, just like with any school shooting, just like with anything that happens, right? I've always said, like, you got to ask questions, you've got to be a critical thinker, but you cannot fall down every wormhole. If you fall down every wormhole, I mean, eventually you're just going to start thinking like that. Oh no, it's actually lizards that run the world, and they've actually raped a billionaire and turned him into a robot. It gets a little weird. It gets a little weird, right? So you got to keep yourself kind of on track, kind of grounded. Like same with Diddy. I'm not saying, hey, there's going to be a lot of shit that's being said that's just not true, right? Yeah. But
the things that are true are terrible.
If just 10% of it, if just 10% of it's true,
10% of it burns him forever.
You got 3,185 people coming out saying, I did this, and 120 of those are valid enough already that you can make lawsuits, plus the 3 federal indictments you have. So I don't even have any of this. And none of this, the 120 cases and the 3 federal cases, none of that implicates him on any murders, which now they're going to open up the investigations on the Pac murder, the Biggie murder, the Kim Porter murder. Clive Davis probably allegedly killed Whitney Houston. Clive Davis probably allegedly killed Whitney Houston's daughter. Yeah. Puffy probably allegedly killed Tupac. Puffy probably allegedly had Biggie killed because Biggie was going to leave his label.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, had the song set up already, you said?
Song was ready to go. That video that was done, it came out like 60 days after Biggie's death. You're going to have time to mourn your friend, right?
Right.
Holy cow. That's going to probably, like, if one of my friends...
Do you say he had it all set it up to capitalize off of his murder?
Of course.
Allegedly,
I've got this. So this video's got all this stuff that would have taken you 40 days to edit down the video and get it ready for MTV at the time, because it was so intricate a video. The song's really a banger. You're going to write a song that good, and maybe he was just so inspired from his friend's death. Yeah. Every time they would talk about Biggie, he would just look like super uncomfortable, ready to move on. And the dude is a certified piece of shit.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, he always give you vibes like, man, this guy's a charlatan.
I never liked the fact that he couldn't butt out of just being the producer of everybody.
Yeah.
I never liked the fact that he's always trying to push the other artist aside. And it's like, isn't this guy's song? And he's like, hey, I'm dancing now in front of everybody in the video.
Because he's a narcissist. He's a sociopath. He's a psychopath. I'm not a doctor, but like I think like an 8-year-old can diagnose this at this point,
Yeah.
right? Like the dude, he has to be the center of attention. He's loud about always, look at me, I'm so great, I'm so wonderful, those people are never wonderful.
No, and the video where he's in his thing and he's slamming all this shit. Now I understand, like
I'm a savage.
Any of that stuff could be set up just to be like, hey, look at what I'm doing. You know, every now and then
mean,
you got
look,
to flip out and let people know you can flip out. But that's just crazy. Like
anything can be taken out of context. I mean, like I could win the lottery tonight and somebody could get me on video like just acting a buffoon and be like, look, this guy's completely unhinged. But like, and maybe I was for like 12 minutes. Whatever, I'll give him a pass. But I don't give him a pass on the things he's saying.
God,
is what he
if I
really
won the
feels.
lottery tonight, I'd probably have a heart attack and die.
I know,
on the
that'd
floor.
be my luck. The things he's saying are what he means when he says stuff like, whatever I want, I get.
Well, there's truth
You
in
better
jest.
you better believe that. You better believe what he's saying. Whatever he wants, he gets. Have you seen this child prostitute coming out talking about what goes down?
I haven't seen any of that.
So she's out. I'll think of her name in a minute, man. It's hard to get through. Hard to get through. Now she talks about them taking infants because they have fetishes of hearing their ribs break.
Dude, what?
They like to hear their ribs break when they enter them. But she was in this deal. She was bought for their parties for years and years and years. She said as a child they put you on a table and you're called a party favor. And when any of the guests that are coming around, you just blow them or you give up your ass or whatever they need to stay hard so they can keep the party moving. When they start this music, you're on the table and you're called a party favor. It is.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Man, she's got interviews all over the internet. You got to check it out.
I'm looking right now to.
If you can
try not to land on any lists.
Yeah, no doubt. You'd end up on a list trying to get to the bottom of this.
Jeez. That's what's so messed up about it is like even talking about it cringes you out so bad that you don't even want to talk about it. It's like such a bad thing that you saying that makes me just like cringe about it.
The Diddy stuff is so deep and wild and with so many layers. You start going, I just can't. Most people are going to check out in about a week. They're just going to go, it's just too much. It's just brain overload. I just give up, and it's just gonna. And they're going to think that this is just like a just a standard rape case, or just a standard abuse case, or just a standard. There are no standard kidnapping cases. Trafficking people over state line cases.
This says 4 days ago. This is 4 days ago. P. Diddy accused of sexually assaulting 25 minors.
Yeah, that's of the 100. So the 120 lawsuits we talked about, right?
Yeah,
that have been vetted. That they say we have proof on these 120.
120 new Diddy accusers on disturbing.
25 of those are minors. The youngest, a 9-year-old boy.
Good.
The youngest one is a 9-year-old boy.
That's insane.
Look, wait till we see what's good. And then you heard about you playing that. Heard the thing.
And for the first time, we're hearing from Tony Busby, the attorney bringing these 120 new lawsuits against Diddy in a one-on-one interview. He says these suits will bring brand new, shocking revelations, including Diddy's alleged sexual assault of a 9-year-old child, and on a separate occasion, the assault of a pregnant woman. But that's not all. The lawsuits will apparently divulge some high-profile celebrity names that will shock us. I'm Sierra Gillespie, and this is Law and
So, have you got into any of Kim Porter? Kim Porter is, right, his ex-wife?
No.
Do you know who she is or no?
No.
Kim Porter's his ex-wife.
Okay.
Who he killed.
Good
Allegedly.
Lord. Allegedly.
She got pneumonia, like everyone gets pneumonia. Kim Porter, when she was living in a separate residence from Diddy, she was breaking into the house, stealing the tapes, right? She would steal the tapes at night, take them back to her house, have them put onto like DVDs, bring back the original tapes, put them in his vault, go back the next night, get more tapes. She went till she got every tape copied.
So these are out there.
No, she was writing a book. She made copies of everything. She went to Sean and said, or to Puffy, and said, I'm out of this relationship. This is what I have on you. I have all the tapes. I'm about to write a book. I'm about to expose it all. She ends up dead. Most of the book is written, though. So the book is now out there. Kim Porter's accounts of things. She talks about how when she tells him she's pregnant, what Puffy does, Puffy calls Will Smith. starts talking to Will Smith, and then he says, Will and Jada going to want to get in on this when you get like 9 months pregnant. We got to have a gangbang. And she starts crying. She's like, I've done so much.
God.
She's like, I'm not going to do that. He's like, it's going to be fine.
Where do they hear this? Where did this all
Kim
come
Porter, his ex-wife, wrote this in a book.
out? Where's the book?
It's out.
Oh, it's
It's
out.
on Amazon.
Yeah.
You just
Oh,
buy
really?
it. Yeah, she's dead, but it just came out like the week he went to prison.
Oh, my
In this
God.
book, she outlines how he was going to have her gangbanged by Will and Jada when she was 9 months pregnant. That it was part of their deal that if she liked the life she had, he said, you like this life, don't you? Do you want for anything? Blah, blah, blah. If you want to continue to have these things, these are just things we got to do.
I hate it that it's Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
If you hate that, wait till you find out that Will Smith took his 4-year-old, according to Jaden.
It's awful.
Took his 4-year-old,
Allegedly.
according to the guy who went.
Oh,
So allegedly, he's saying it. He doesn't talk to his dad anymore. He's an adult. He's 25 or 26. Doesn't talk to his dad. He says he went there when he was 4. He has no real memory of it except that 3 days kind of went blacked out and his ass was hurting. He was 4 years old.
what is wrong with these people?
They're power hungry, sex addicted Satanists. I don't know any other way to describe them. Like,
That's not. That is crazy.
some of them probably just thought they were at having sex parties or whatever. I can give some of them. If you thought everybody there was an adult, if you thought everybody there was willing, you realize everybody there was drunk and high. Hey, I'm not going to judge what adults do in their bedrooms. You got 26 women over here and they're all over 18 and everybody came because they wanted to come and have at it, right? That's your deal. But it's hard to believe that they don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Because it seems Diddy is like, I think Diddy's like here on the totem pole. Everybody like Will Smith, the rest of them, they're a little bit under Diddy. There's Diddy, but then there's like the Clive Davis, who allegedly did this to Diddy. Oh. Look at Diddy gets his own record label backed by all the power. I don't want to get the companies wrong, but I think, is it Warner Brothers? Oh. Backed by all the power and money of Sony. Backed by all the power and money of Sony. To give him his own label, make him the president of that label. He was a 19-year-old backup dancer, Mike. You tell me how a 19-year-old backup dancer gets the keys to the castle, unlimited funds, and becomes the head of a record label under Sony's wing. You tell me how that happens. Hard work, bootstraps.
No, because everybody in the whole industry is trying to keep you down.
That's right.
Nobody wants you coming for their piece of pie unless you have something on them. It's a complete show of like of gatekeeping where it's like, I'm going to do this for you, but you're going to do this for me. And nobody gives you anything, and nobody gives you the castle.
Okay,
nobody gives it to you. You've got to get it somehow.
You've heard Diddy talk and do interviews and everything for the past 28, 30 years. Mm-hmm. Has he ever struck you as like sometimes people will speak and I'm just like, damn, that dude's a fucking genius. Like, that's why he's in the, sometimes people speak and they say things. I'm like, that's why they're in the position they're in, because clearly they're just craftier than. Did he ever give you the impression that he's like, oh, he's just so smart, or he's just so business savvy, or he really I never got that vibe from Diddy. But
No.
But 19 years old, you get your own label?
Right.
It's not like your own label you start in your basement with $10,000. Right?
Right.
This is Bad Boy Entertainment.
Right.
You're the president of Bad Boy Entertainment. And you're a 19-year-old backup dancer.
And it's also called Bad Boy Entertainment.
Of course
It's not great.
Of course it was called Bad Boy.
Great.
It's not great now.
It totally blows my mind because it goes back to old Hollywood days where everything was so wholesome, and then when the camera stopped and the party started, they were doing the same shit.
Making Dorothy smoke 80 cigarettes so she can stay thin, and feeding her amphetamines. And
it's so disgusting. The whole thing is just completely disgusting.
Not the whole industry. There's obviously there's a good side of it that there's never come down. There's people doing things the right way. You could say Jim Carrey, like, he's never been around any of this, and he's kind of spoke out against.
He has.
But what do they try to do, Jim Carrey? He's crazy.
He's crazy.
Kanye, what is he? He's crazy.
Yep.
Dave Chappelle, what is he? He's crazy. Everybody that tries to say, look at what they're doing.
Right.
Holy shit, guys, help.
And all of those people were geniuses in their own right. They weren't a 19-year-old kid who got handed stuff. They worked and they were actually
the best of their craft.
geniuses and goats at what they did. I mean, shit, Jim Carrey, God, man, he's amazing.
Yay?
On In Living Color. Oh, yay, and just some of the best things. And then they got there. Wouldn't it be a slap in the face if you were like yay, and you did all this stuff and you wrote these songs and you had all these followers, and then somebody comes up to you and they're like, well, he got it because he got fucked in the butt. Like that's what he did, and now he gets pushed and he gets the best writers and producers, everything behind him. I would be like, well, fuck that. I did all this on my own. No, I'm not doing that. Fuck off.
I'll go you one further. I think Ye has been there.
Yeah.
And didn't like it.
Yeah.
I think he's been all the way in there.
Remember when you talked about Justin Bieber going to a party and then running to Jesus? Mm-hmm. That happened, and that was probably a Diddy party.
He
right?
He went to years of parties. He got there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a clear victim. He's talked about being victimized by the industry stuff. He just never dropped
and he
names.
got there on his own merit too, using YouTube. He had so many, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Wasn't he like a big YouTube sensation?
But listen,
I'm not a big fan. I don't really know a whole lot
listen,
about him. But
listen, Usher.
I thought that's what it was.
Usher, who is Diddy's protege, right?
Yeah.
Usher gets raped by Diddy, turned out by Diddy, turned on by Diddy, and put up to be the Usher that we all know. And that happens as a child when Usher was 15 and came on the scene out of nowhere.
It's awful.
It wasn't out of nowhere. It was out of Diddy's pants. That's how it was.
Well, the thing
Usher,
is you find somebody with some talent, and
Usher
because there's a million people with talent.
Usher discovered Bieber at 3 a.m. one night on YouTube. Gets in touch with his mom. Him and Puff. They get in touch with his mom. Basically kidnap, or they don't kidnap. She gives him away. She gives the poor child to the industry. They send him to Puffy's flavor camp, which Usher knew all about, right? Because Usher had been to Puff's flavor camp.
Yeah.
Usher had been through all these things. So Usher knows what's going to go down at flavor camp. He sends a 14-year-old Bieber to flavor camp. And there's video evidence of Bieber spending 48 hours with Puffy when he was up and coming. Next thing you know, after the 48 hours with Puffy alone, boom, Bieber's the biggest name on the planet. You can't turn anywhere without seeing, hearing Bieber. Bieber's on everything you see. Bieber is the biggest star of the 2010s all of a sudden.
Oh, my gosh.
And let's keep it a buck. Bieber's pretty good. But just like all these other artists,
now I'm questioning and everything. Like, is he, or did they just pay to have these bomb writers write all of his stuff and be like, this is yours?
That's exactly what they did. Scooter Braun, P. Diddy, Usher, all members of the machine found him, turned him out, raped him, and allegedly.
This is never going to be able to hit YouTube, right?
I mean,
this is never going to be able to get on YouTube.
We'll just have to edit those.
Hey, somebody said we should put all our stuff on Spotify. We should upload all of these to Spotify.
Yeah, we should start doing that.
I don't really know how to do that, but
we do it with our music, so.
Yeah, I do it with music.
So I put music on there. You put music on there, so we know how to do that. So I bet it's a pretty similar process.
Probably easier.
Put a bunch on. Let's get a bunch on there, and people are more likely to listen to Spotify in the car. But yeah, so Bieber's a victim in this whole deal, but I feel like later on he became an adult participant. Just like Usher is a victim. You could ultimately trace it all the way back and go, well, Diddy's a victim because he's a victim of like when Clive was only like 63 years old instead of 93 like he is now. Him and Clive were essentially dating.
Yeah.
As Clive is turning Diddy out, what do you know? Boom, next thing he's the biggest.
But it's not like dating like consensual. It's dating for power.
It's dating for power. You let me have that. And I'll let you have this. Hey man, we really need a little urban vibe around here. So we got your own label under Sony. We can get that going. What do you mean? What does this guy know about running a label? Don't worry. What he knows about running a label, we'll show him.
You're the face.
What do you know at 19 unless you're just extremely blessed about business? What do you really know about business at 19? Honestly,
nothing.
And the record industry is complicated if you're 50. And then somehow he ends up with everybody's publishing. And then this past year, Diddy came out and was like on the radio, was like, oh, I'm gonna give all my artists back their publishing because I want to give back. Right before all this is blowing up, he starts making public PR appearances talking about he's giving back their publishing.
Oh my God.
Which you stole it because after you R-word them.
We've already said it.
Well, for this segment can maybe go on something on TikTok or something. After you've R-word them, they tell you, this is what I have, Mike, and here's what's going to happen. I'll put this out if you say anything. Otherwise, we're going to make you a huge star, okay? We're going to get you lots of money, but I'm going to own your publishing.
Right.
And people, even if you know what that means, which most time at 18, 19, 20, 22, you don't know what that means. Because they say like, hey, let me give you $500,000. I'm buying it from you, so whatever. But you know that you're going to turn this publishing into something worth $5 million because the marketing dollars are able to put behind it. Then Diddy owns all the publishing, just like Clive Davis owned Whitney Houston's publishing. And Whitney started speaking out about that. Whitney becomes what? Crazy. We all thought Whitney was crazy for 10 years before she died.
Yeah.
It's all funny. It's funny to laugh at the crack addict.
Right.
It's funny to laugh at the R-word victim and the crack addicts. And, Dave Chappelle they offered him $50 million. Funny, that number always keeps popping up, 50 million, 50 million, 50 million, 50 million. They offer him $50 million. All of a sudden, he don't want it. He's crazy. He also wouldn't wear the dress. It's just a joke. They want to put him in a dress. Well, you never see any black man wear the dress and not become successful.
Right.
It's part of your deal. It's part of your move in.
I've noticed it's not just black men though. I've noticed that they put a lot of people in the dress.
They do, but I think for black men in particular, it's to emasculate them.
Yeah.
You put them in a place where they can't go. You can't go back to your community.
John Cena's been in a dress.
Yeah, to emasculate a big tough guy. John Cena's huge, stronger than everybody in the room, and this makes him weak.
Yeah.
This makes me stronger than him.
Right.
Because
I told you to do it.
I did that.
And you did it.
I did that to you.
Right.
I did that to you because I have power over you. And nobody wants that out. Especially, imagine you're like a rapper. Rappers have to have this image of toughness and thuggishness.
Not so much now, but yeah.
Shit. I mean, right? All they do now is kill everybody. Blah blah. I want to plop plop. I want to pop. I mean, everything's a.
What rapper you listening to?
The only rap that's available. What rapper you?
I don't know. I listen to a lot of like emotional rap. There's like emotional rap that's not like.
I'm talking about things that make money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I understand.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I understand. There's someone playing an acoustic song in a coffee house somewhere, and it's really touching. I get that, but I'm saying like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones that are making.
Well, I don't listen to that.
The ones that make big moves. It's all about killing. My whole point was. It's this tough guy image, which is fine. That's what it is. You can't be this if they release a tape of you being sexually assaulted.
Right.
You know their whole thing, like
being feminine.
And you can't. How are you going to go back to the neighborhood? I couldn't go back to the neighborhood. How are you going back to the neighborhood? You can't. You can't go be back around your buddies and stuff and it be the same. Mm-mm. They're never looking at you the same. Even if the ones that will take you in and talk to you, everybody's talking shit about you because it's going to come out in a way. It's not going to come out in a way that you were R-word. It's going to come out like you were having fun at this party being gang raped by these dudes.
Oof.
That's right. How do you think they're going to release the tapes?
Right.
And they tell you, so you don't want to lose your power. You don't want to lose your authority. And then they say, oh, and if that's not good enough, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
Jay-Z told Rihanna, hey, we're on the 29th floor, and there's two ways you can get out of here. With a signed contract walking out the door or out the window. It's your choice. But is it really her choice?
Well, there's no choice. So what, do you want to die now?
Or
do you want to
sign this?
That's for real? That's a real thing?
That's from Rihanna's mouth at this point.
Rihanna's mouth? Wow.
Rihanna's mouth at this point. There's two. He took a 17, 18-year-old kid up to a hotel room to the 29th floor after they've had her out all day and night doing who knows what. That would all be alleged. So this part's not alleged. This is the part that she states as fact. Brought her in, said, hey, I like everything, blah, blah, blah. And here's the contract, and it doesn't matter what you can I read the contract? Doesn't really matter if you read it or not. Doesn't matter if your attorneys leave it or not because
you're signing it.
It's two ways you leave here. Sign contract and just walk out the door or out that window. We're on the 29th floor. You decide. She's under duress, signs the contract. And, of course, I know that Jay-Z, I'm probably quite sure he wanted to sleep with Rihanna, which eventually they end up doing. She ends up allegedly at freak-offs, ends up being a freak-off party favor, like Kim Kardashian, who you know is the VIP party favor. No. Do you know this?
Look,
it's the word on the street.
I've realized something. I've realized that I don't know any of this. I have a very small bubble that I live in. I live in a very small bubble.
Thank God I
and
come into your bubble once a week or so. And we just
what we
catch
gotta-
up. We catch up.
You gotta tell me these things. I my day, I get up at like 5:30 and I can make some coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's good coffee.
I grind my own beans. I have
Very
to make some
fancy.
good coffee. Well, I like good coffee. I've been chasing a cup of coffee for about a year and a half now. I went to Atlanta, and I came back from Atlanta southernly through Montgomery and cut across Highway 80 through Alabama, and I stopped at a Chevron, and I wanted a cup of coffee, and they had some community coffee things set up.
Yeah, the little machines with all
Little
the different.
machines, and then they had the beans in like 3 different separate deals there, and I was like, okay, I want to get these dark beans right here, and it ground the beans, and it made me a cup of coffee, and I tasted it. This is the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my entire life,
Community's so good.
and I've been drinking coffee forever, and I'm really into it, and it was the best cup of coffee ever. Now, I ever since then have been chasing that. I've bought community coffee. Every community coffee bean
Probably
grounded.
got something to do with
not
the water
being-
where you got it from.
I don't
It's
know,
got
man.
to.
It was just the best cup of coffee I've ever had.
They must have their
I'm
own
sorry
stream coming out.
intanging this. I'm putting like a big wedge in what you were saying and slowing you down here for a second. But
That's good.
Let me just iterate my life.
I am,
one
yeah.
second, because I don't know anything about Rihanna or Jay-Z. I really like Blueprint 3. That's about all I know about Jay-Z. And when he, excuse me. And when he did when they did like the crossover album with Linkin Park and mixed their songs together, that's about all I know. The really good stuff. Blueprint 3, really good album. But I pretty much figured that all these guys are pieces of shit. I mean, I really did.
Yeah.
But when you're just riding down your road and you're bumping to, Tom Ford, you just want to enjoy the song.
Sure.
Not so much now.
Now you can't.
But and not so much now. You can enjoy some of these things that you've heard from some of these people. But my life is very simple. I run a trucking company,
Yep.
and that's all I do. It takes up every minute of my time, and I also like when I get very little moments of spare time, I spend them with my family
Or
and
guitar.
and I play guitar and piano. And this is the area that I live in, folks, with these computers and my guitars, and this is and then I'll go
It's
over
kind
to
of
the
your
couch.
world. It's your whole world.
This
Yeah.
is my whole world, and I go over to the couch there, and I'll watch, like Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
or like the new Lord of the Rings, the new ones, and that's how I live, and I'm not like constantly and I'm constantly like I'm on. I've always got like Bitcoin up. I'm up and down on Bitcoin, and
Yeah.
dealing with that. I don't really search for now the things that hit you in the face, like the
Yeah, you'll
Diddy
see
thing.
that.
I see that, but I've never even heard about this Rihanna thing.
No one has. That's the
with
thing.
that.
You really have to. I mean, I know.
I live in a little bubble.
I'll nerd out.
Really
I'll
do.
nerd out on these stories when I get into. If I get. And this is.
Wait, let
but
me
this-
ask you a question.
this is
How do I find these stories? Like, tell same people, the people that are like me that live in these small bubbles.
Okay,
How do you find these stories?
I believe that social media algorithms will feed you these stories once you go to. Just like if I get on. Okay, if I start getting on guitar kicks, right? It will not, and I start getting into a big music kick, which about every 3 months, like, oh, I got to go look at some music or go start doing something.
I got a band for you to listen to.
The algorithm within no time, within 2 or 3 days, I'll start getting so many of my favorite artists, clips, live videos, interviews that by the end of the week, I'll have like 100 hours of information on everything I want to know without ever looking for it. Without ever, just because every platform I'll go be like, we hear you like Iommi solos. Here's another one. But you've never seen this bootleg from Paris, 1972.
Oh,
You ever seen this one with him playing with Brian May? Here's where he talks about this. And then over time, I end up with all this useless information, or sometimes not useless information, but all these things that interest me. I'll end up with all this. So I've been following this Diddy and Pac and this whole shit.
So it's just coming at you
since
hard.
like before the internet.
Right.
Since
right.
before the internet, I've kind of been into the story, but on a marginal basis, but enough to where I'm going to get something once in a while.
Right.
Now, the past 2 years, I'd have to say I've been getting stuff ever since I was talking about it a couple years in the podcast.
Right.
I guess my phone probably heard me like, oh, that's of great interest to him. So you get one person, then you get this interview, then you get this. Then you're like, oh, I bet you never know. Next thing you know, you're watching an interview from somebody who went to 4th grade with him and said,
Oh, my
yeah, you
God.
know, in 4th grade, he told me he was going to do this. Here's his journal. And you've just kind of start seeing that's when you start having to filter shit. But that's how I get the information is just through wormholes of the internet, YouTube wormholes or TikTok wormholes.
All my YouTube stuff is, these are the 4 amps that you would use if you were going to just use pedals and not the distortion in the amps. That's basically every single YouTube thing I get.
You can
That's
literally
all,
see it.
All I do is look up like guitar and guitar stuff. So like that's all I get fed.
Typically this time of year, I only get football stuff because it's like for
all
20 years,
footballed
my algorithm has figured out like, oh, September to December, Ray wants everything football. He definitely wants everything Louisiana high school football, college and pro. Feed it to him too. Pee wee flag, anything with a football. Feed it. So now I just get a little mix of. I'm actually getting less, about 20% football and 80% Diddy because I'm probably the story's so massive to me.
Massive.
And this is what we've been. This is what, like I said, we've been screaming for this. We cannot say distract.
You've been talking about this on here for 2 years.
On here
For 2 years.
There are places on the internet that exist. I'm telling you that you can go find where I was typing about this in like 2006.
Oh wow.
Not with all these details, but just
Right.
the details that were available then from hearsay or somebody
weird
like
things.
you just all. I mean,
Which,
hell,
by the way, let me cut in here and just say that the amp that you want to use if you're just going to use stomp boxes and stuff like that is a 2x12 Vox if you're going to play
2
live.
by-
Anyway,
yeah, is that the one?
that's the one.
Yeah.
Everybody uses it. If you go back, like Radiohead uses them. Even some heavier artists use them, but like 2x12 Vox, that's pretty much what you need. If you go back to like Queen when they played at like Wembley Stadium and all that stuff, they just got like 50 of those 2x12 Voxes behind them.
But they're not always plugged in, all of them.
Not all of them. No, you only need one.
Yeah,
you only need one and 2 microphones.
That's it. That's the end.
I'll tell you the secret. I'll tell you the secret.
That's the industry secret. You
The
see somebody with a wall of Marshall amps. Those are not all on.
One of them's on.
Yeah.
One of them's on, and it's mic'd with 2 mics, and it's got 1 mic in the cone and 1 mic off the cone by about halfway, and that's what you hear, because that's what you hear in a room. The cone and the half the mic. That's what they got. And you can get any sound from that. So that's what you need. If you want a super clean tone, you can also do like the Marshall. You can also go the Marshall route and use a Marshall.
I think a Marshall's
There's a whole
always
thing.
good.
There's a
Marshall's
whole
always
thing
good.
where people talk about. Now, if you're gonna use like,
What about
if
orange?
you
You
want to
don't
be
like orange? I think orange.
Orange is great
orange
too.
is a great tone.
Orange is great. I'm talking about orange has got a really good like a overdriven tone. I'm talking about if you want to use the cleanest amp you can find.
Yeah.
That has the cleanest tone you can find to push your pedals through. Be it a fuzz pedal, any of that.
Clean original tone. Yeah.
Clean original tone to push an amp through. That's all I'm saying. Sorry. Back to this stuff.
Oh,
I got to stick it in where I can.
I forgot. I was talking about.
We were talking. Yeah, but like.
So.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just like anything else. It's just like the reason you're able to know so much about amps is because it's going to feed you so much. The reason I'm able to learn so much about what's going on with football because the algorithm's going to feed me so much that I'm going to be like, well, I'm going to have more than the average consumer.
Can I talk about some football things that I just watched?
Hell yeah.
And I've always liked football, but I've never like delved into like super massive, like into it. Like I did baseball years ago when I lived 30 minutes from Turner Field.
Right.
And we go to Turner Field every time. But like I watched a Will Smith show, and it
Don't
was
do that anymore.
I know, can't now. Good show, but it was about the hits that they constantly take. I think this came out in 2015.
Oh yeah, like a CTE or something.
CTE. So it's like there's a CTE thing.
That makes sense. Makes sense that Will Smith would be making something to damn football to take the eyeballs off of him and make something else.
2015.
2015 was they were dead in the center of this shit.
That's terrible.
Let's make football the devil.
How do you do that and be so good at being an actor like that?
Because they're such good actors. The same reason they can get on those talk shows and get white middle class moms, the same people like Diddy, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Will Smith can get on talk shows and get white middle class moms to go, gosh, I really like him. You know, I don't really like black guys, but I like that black guy. Let's
Yeah,
just call it what
you're
it is, right?
you're
Like,
well, also you
No,
got to remember that actors are just empty husks.
now when they see if you see 50 Cent or Kanye, they're like, oh, I don't like that guy because he seems like trouble, right? He
Yeah.
seems like those guys aren't trouble. Those are the good guys.
Right.
The bad guys look like good guys. If you see, I've always said
Eddie
this.
Haskell. Eddie Haskell
Haskell's-
from the
that's
Eddie
it.
Haskell. Yes, Mrs. Cleaver. I'll have him home by 9 o'clock.
I will die on this hill. You find me a man who says I have no vices. No vices. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't curse. I'm not drawn to anger. I don't get high. I don't smoke weed. I don't dip Copenhagen. I don't say curse words. I don't yell at my wife. You find me a man who says that. I'm telling, and I've said forever, something sinister's going on with that dude. When
Right.
it seems too good
Too
to be true.
clean.
Too good to be true. It seems too good to be true. Well, it is. Oprah had every housewife in America trusting what she says. She's
Right.
going to be just as complicit in this as anybody. Her
Right.
name can't stay out of this.
No.
Her name's dead in the center. But what did every single household, if you asked them, if you would have asked them, who do you trust more, Oprah, or you said like the most honest district attorney in the country, they would say Oprah. The people would say Oprah because they know her. She could just tell someone, she could just tell America, you should read this book.
Right.
And the next day, like 18 million
book is
people
the-
about
it's the biggest
it's a
book
New York
on the
Times
planet.
bestseller.
New York Times bestseller.
This is the kind of power they've given her. So what I'm saying, what looks good isn't good, and what looks scary and not quite right is just rough around the edges.
And it resonates. It resonates wrong with you because you've been given this facade of how squeaky clean everybody else is.
Yeah, and it's bullshit.
And that's bullshit because a real artist that makes his own way by being a little edgy,
It's gonna make you uncomfortable,
but
right?
not squeaky clean. Well, they close the door and they're doing what they're doing at those parties.
50 Cent ain't putting on a sparkly suit and doing choreographed dances because that ain't who he is. Puffy's doing that. It ain't who Puff is either. He's just a chameleon who wants to be whatever I need to be
Whatever
to
I
sell
need
to
to do to
everybody.
sell it.
I don't have a soul. I don't have
care,
integrity.
but
I just have vision. My vision is power. My fucking power.
But power over power, blackmail power,
Bla-
basically.
the power to blackmail. But what I'm saying is all the people who appear good or too good or you trust them too much, it's bullshit. It's bullshit covered in bullshit in a
100%.
dumpster fire.
100%.
People that come off as a little bit wild or unorthodox
So do you think? So like
are usually good
Pharrell,
guys.
Because I'm happy. The song. Do you think he's happy? Probably not.
I mean, look for me, that kind of music in general. It's probably because it's just not my personality. But I've always said I don't know any dudes. I don't know any dudes. There probably are dudes, but I don't know any dudes, and I'm certainly not a dude who would ever think to, cause I'm happy. But there are people, I guess, grown men who think like I don't know.
I'm very happy with my
Right,
life.
you are, but
I don't run
would-
around
could-
going happy. I actually kind of like.
Would you feel silly doing that at 32 or 40? When
I'm 45.
I know, but I'm talking about when the song came out, how old he was. I'm saying
right.
at any
but,
age
but,
over
but
20.
what I'm saying is like I'm a really happy person, but I also like Danzig in the dark. I like those things. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy, but I dig like darker things, but not dark like evil dark things. I dig
dig the evil.
I don't run around saying guys, I'm so happy today.
I just thought it seems too good to be true is what I'm saying. Okay. I don't know any men who do choreographed dancing. So when I see men in bands or acts doing choreographed dances together, I get suspicious of I'm like, I don't.
Dude, did we talk about in the last one? I can't remember. It was so long ago. I watched that thing with NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys and the guy that totally like put all that together. Or was that a phone conversation we had?
I think it was a phone conversation.
Oh, yeah. So like I watched the Netflix thing on or whatever it was about.
Yeah,
that
dude was a monster.
He was taking everybody's money and basically Ponzi scheming everybody
Sure.
with Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and all them.
Lou Pearlman.
Lou Pearlman,
That's his name.
And he went to prison, but like he pretended he had an airplane company and all this kind of stuff. And
so like with Kid, okay.
he took money. Well, hold on one second. He took money from everybody. and then didn't pay anybody anything, and he even took money from like his friends and his family.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we all need to get in on this because Lou Pearlman, man, he like takes these guys and he makes these bands huge and all this stuff, and it was just a huge Ponzi scheme. He was just shoving the money and spending the money on himself the entire time.
The entire
time. Crazy.
Stole all their money. Now, so look, when it's like what I was going to say, when it's like
he's just a money
boy
problem.
bands
It
and
didn't
stuff,
have like a
it's-
sexual thing to it.
yeah,
He's kind of a
I think
weirdo.
there was though.
But it didn't.
There was kind of like some underlying sexual
The
stuff.
thing that I watched though, it wasn't really. He was kind of like a father figure to everybody. Nobody ever came out and said that he like raped him or
No,
anything.
never. But
Like nobody said any of that. They always said everybody that ever had anything to do with him was like he was like a father figure to me. So this guy like would basically get people that didn't have fathers and be a father figure to them and then take advantage of them. Which
course.
is evil.
Yeah.
Which is evil.
Yeah, he totally he took advantage of all those guys, and they had some rough runs.
How do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night with taking your family and friends and their money and then using that to further your bank account and push these artists and do everything and then not pay them and then you lay down and you're just baby sleeps.
They're
I'm
soulless
sleeping
demons.
so sleepily at night.
They're soulless.
Great
They're soulless
sleep.
demons. Now look. Now on Oprah, let's look at all Oprah's connections. Some of Oprah's best friends through the years. Bill Cosby and Oprah, always best friends, right? Harvey Weinstein and Oprah, BFFs. Jeffrey Epstein and Oprah, BFFs. Puffy and Oprah, BFFs. Is it just a coincidence that she happens to always promote, always get in front of, always encourage the worst of our planet of sexual predators? That she just knew them
Well,
all.
it 100% makes sense now because they're selling us these people.
Yes.
They're selling us these people as wholesome and good people, and they are not. And they've sold the American people and the world these people because they know that they're all in the same group of very sexual predator
Puffy
and
was
all that
trying
kind
to
of
get
stuff. It's
away-
all fucked up.
Puffy was trying to back away from like the gangster stuff because he knew he was implicated in the Pac murder, right? The Biggie murder. If you knew you just committed 3, and then the shooting in the nightclub. Remember the shooting in the nightclub when him and J-Lo were dating?
Yes.
People just forget about.
Oh, do you know, like
J-Lo wasn't
they're
even famous
They're
then.
getting Ben Affleck and her are getting.
Of course, he
divorced.
left her the day that he got
all that
arrested,
happened.
probably because
Yeah,
right because she's a key member in the Freak Offs.
Oh yeah.
Jennifer Lopez, people forget, wasn't even famous. She was only famous for dating Puffy at that time.
Right.
She's in the club.
She was a
She
a
has
fly
the-
girl. She was a fly girl.
She's a fly girl in Living Color a couple years before that. And she was trying to break into the industry. She gets caught up with this shooting with Diddy. Diddy gets, and you don't remember how it went to trial kind of fast, and then people just kind of quit talking about it.
Yeah.
Now this is in '99. That was a long. I mean, I was just like starting a family and stuff, so like I would just see what you would see on TMZ or whatever. But Jennifer Lopez, a couple of months after all that, she ends up the Jennifer Lopez we all know now. Is that a coincidence?
I was playing a joke on Kylie the other night. We were watching the thing and we were watching some stuff on the news and I was like, this is Ben Affleck right now sitting with with Jennifer Lopez on the TV. And every time they said Puffy's name, he goes, "Come on, I'm Batman." You know, like I can't.
you gotta know. You gotta think.
Look, first of all, I love Ben Affleck, and I liked him as Batman. Hate me if you want. He was a great Batman. I loved it.
How do we get this sting of you being involved with a shooting with this dangerous black man? Let's put you with this drunk white guy over here and just everybody forget about it. Because that's when she married him the first time, right after the shooting.
Oh yeah.
The first time she married him.
Oh.
Guess who hooked all that up? They all hooked all that up.
No, not Ben Affleck. Don't tell me.
Ben Affleck's not involved.
No,
he didn't.
no,
I mean,
he can't be.
he's just getting like he's on the. He's
if Ben
peripherally
Ben
involved.
Affleck was involved, like immediately involved, I would be so upset. I
don't-
love Ben Affleck.
I think Leo might be.
Of course.
Ashton Kutcher is
allegedly.
Ashton Kutcher is allegedly bad.
Of course.
And Ashton, you saw it. Ashton,
Everybody, when everybody gets caught doing all these sexual things, they all back away from all the other people when they knew all that shit was going on.
'Cause you were there.
'Cause you were there. These people hang out on sets together for hours and hours and hours of every day, and they know who those people. They know who they are. They know how they act. If me and you were to do a sitcom for 10 years and we were there every day, you don't think you know how I treat people?
Oh yeah.
What? Of course you do.
It would be like me trying to deny I don't like.
And then when Danny Masterson.
That I don't know how you move day to day. Like that'd be crazy.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
Danny Masterson.
of course.
So like Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher were they came out right when he got in all that trouble about all that Me Too stuff.
They wrote letters.
And they were like, hey, Danny's a good guy, blah, blah, blah. And then
he's a rapist.
And then it all came out, and then they were like, oh, we're sorry. We didn't realize that he was going to get popped for it.
Your best friend?
We don't like him.
You didn't know your best friend was like that?
Best friend. You didn't hang out with this dude constantly for however many years that 70s show went on. And then on that pretty cool show, whatever that show was with.
Where Ash was the football guy.
Yeah, the football guy. The Ranch,
yeah,
which was a kick-ass show.
I love that show.
And then they had to get rid of Danny Masterson off of that. But that was a great show. You've been with this guy for the past, what?
25 years.
25 years, and you don't know that he likes to party a little hard with the ladies and be a little pushy?
With the kids.
Yeah, the kids. Oh, yeah?
You understand there's kids at all these things.
No, I didn't.
You understand there's prostituted children moved across state lines. This is the sex trafficking of minors portion of the case. There's nobody that's at these parties just getting a little pushy with women.
Here's the thing with me. I like older women. Why do they like kids?
You understand?
I don't understand that.
I don't either, but you understand.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
They like boy kids too. But what Puffy says, nothing better than making a man do what you wanted to do. That's why allegedly he clapped the cheeks of Carl Winslow.
Like that. I don't like any of it.
Carl Winslow, a fine, upstanding police officer.
Carl Winslow?
Are you not listening to me? Yeah. Carl. Now, of course, Carl Winslow denies all accusations.
Are you talking about the dude from
Family Matters? The dad. He got diddled, allegedly.
For what? To be the cop in
No.
Oh man.
No, I think Reginald paid to be.
Did he want to be a rapper?
No, I think Reginald paid to be fucked by Diddy.
No.
He just knew what went down. I think he offered money to get.
All of this can't be true. This can't be true.
Well,
none of this can be true.
None
of this can be true.
None of it?
Well, not none of it, but like
just
that,
the Carl
that
Winslow
Carl
part?
Winslow?
Oprah?
You got any cheese, Carl? Come on,
Hey, at least
man.
Urkel's not in there.
Do you think when they were like giving him the juice, he was like, "Hey, Carl, you got any cheese?"
But there's nothing.
That's terrible.
You have heard.
That's
you've
terrible.
heard the tape.
I mean, he did it.
You've heard the tape with
he
Meek.
did.
You've heard the tape with Meek Mill, huh?
No.
Well, Diddy. That's the kind of stuff Diddy says. He's like, "Who's better than this, Daddy? You like it? Who's the this motherfucker?" Right? It's like, oh, and then he's like, nobody. He's like, nobody better than you. He's like, there's a thousand rappers out there, but none of them got dick like this, do they? No, sir.
Dude.
That's the audio of him and Meek Mill.
Oh no.
You ever seen Meek Mill in the swim pool when he's like swimming and moving, and then
No.
and Diddy's like, he's like, oh, you earned it, Daddy. You earned it today, Daddy. You've been putting in that work, Daddy.
What is going on? What is going on with all that?
He turned them out. He turned these men out. That's his.
I don't even know what that means.
That
I do know what it means, but I don't even understand it.
You take a man, you emasculate to the point where you have him wanting it.
No. I don't understand it. I don't understand that life. I don't get it.
Thank God, I don't understand that
I
life.
don't understand it. I don't understand why.
Well, you know what he'd do it for the blackmail part, right? You understand that?
Well, the blackmail part I get. It's like a Jeffrey Weinstein thing where you take him to an island. There's cameras everywhere. You get him in bad situations, and then you say, "Hey, I really like I really like that apartment you have over there on Central Park West. Why don't you give that to me for $1?" Oh, yeah, right. Give it to you for $1. How about this video right here? I got you. And you're like, oh yeah, for $1. That sounds great. Here you go.
It works more like, hey, you're going to be a star. I'm going to own your publishing.
Well,
you're going to do whatever
that's
I
different
say.
because people they get people that They find people that really are desperate to be famous,
which is every
and
young
be
person.
artists,
Which is every young person in
and
the
be
world.
artists.
Well,
And
not everybody's an artist, but everybody wants to be famous.
whatever,
however
be
they
famous,
can do it.
however they can do it.
Like the Kardashians, what do they do?
And nothing.
Nothing.
And then they, take advantage of them and say, I can give you everything if you do this.
Well,
That's
this
terrible.
This is the reason.
I would just be like, fuck off.
The reason they bring the children into the parties is this.
It's awful.
The reason you bring the children into the parties is, okay, let's say I'm a gangster rapper. Let's just say I'm Ray Creasy, and you catch me, you get me some Tusi, and you get me really messed up, and I end up having sex with a man on camera, right?
Right.
You may come to me, and I may be the type of dude that goes, hey, bro.
I don't care.
I don't give a fuck. I'll go tell him right now that I did it. And
Yeah.
so then you're like, well, damn, I can't blackmail Ray, right? Because he's just going to say,
So the
I'm going to walk
kids-
out there and say, hey, guys, I slept with a guy at a party. I got wasted. This is what I did. It's on me. I'm still going to give y'all great music. Boom, boom, boom. Keep it pushing.
Yeah, and,
'Cause you'll-
and then you get it. Then you get more of a fan base.
More
Actually,
credibility.
now.
So you would get, that's how the pushback would come. If you would run into a dude, not a lot of dudes like that, but there'd be a few dudes with enough integrity to go, yeah, I did it, but
Yeah.
you're not blackmailing me.
Whatever.
Like, I wouldn't let you blackmail me.
Right.
You just have to kill me. Like, I'm not
Right.
being like, but I don't, but then when you say, oh, by the way, this girl right here that you're doing this with, she's 13. Now
it's a problem.
I'm not coming out and saying that.
That's right.
Now I've got a whole different set of problems. Now I
Oh.
can be blackmailed.
Yeah.
Because now we've got something that's like, well, this will end my life. This won't just end my career.
Right.
This will end my life. So that's the whole reason the children are brought into the equation. The males are brought into the equation to emasculate, gain power of, and get access, and you hope it's just that easy. I got you drunk. You lost your mind. I raped you, but you look like you're enjoying it on video because you're high as hell. Yeah. So the actual video, when they go to court, it's going to look like, they're going to look how much fun he's having.
Yeah.
He's not being violated by Mr. Combs. He's having fun. This is how the defense is going to go. I promise on this, because so much video evidence exists, and the men are going to be enjoying it because of that Tusi.
Yeah, the Tusi, the drank.
Well, that's like it's cocaine, ecstasy, MDMA, horse tranquilizers, some other shit. But you get them on the two. So then I look like I'm having the time of my life with Diddy, right? So it does. So there's no way I could ever come out and say that he R-worded me, right? I can't say that because the tape shows me looking like I'm having fun. That's why the children are introduced into the equation. It's the extra blackmail piece, and it's some sick ass thing.
Sick shit. My life is so boring.
Oh, mine's the boringest.
My life is so
The
boring.
boringest.
I think everybody's lives are pretty boring. I think when you get it like I don't know, $20 million or $50 million in your bank account, I think your life amps up a little bit. And there's a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot of pitfalls.
But why couldn't
like
you just,
then you have people calling you like Diddy who are like, hey man, you got to come to the white party. You're worth $50 million, and you're like,
No,
oh
thanks.
man, I'm gonna be
I'm
in
in
the
the
club.
club.
Holy shit! Yeah, I got $50 million.
it would be hard to not go to the party, right? Like,
I don't know. Like, let's be honest. If Diddy, I don't know about Diddy, but like,
Okay,
I'm a little nervous.
Let's wipe
anyway,
let's wipe
I'm
your-
nervous about going anywhere.
Let's
so it
wipe
doesn't
your
matter
slate
to me.
clean, and you know nothing of what I told you starting 2 years ago.
Okay.
Like let's just say
Okay.
it's 2018.
Let's say it's 2001. My band got signed by Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
which we did, and we got invited to a
You
P
would've
Diddy
probably
party.
went.
I would have been there.
You would have been there, 100%.
I'd have been there.
100%.
100% I would have been there.
And you can't control if they give you drinks that are spiked.
Right. That's fucked up.
You can't. I can say now unequivocally at this age I wouldn't go there, and with the information I have, right? With the information I have, and I can say unequivocally if I was 19 and I had the information I have now, I still wouldn't have went. But I can't say if I was 19, 23, 27, 30,
I was 21
40
years old.
and
I would've went.
and it was just a badass party. I'm like, I'm going now. Hopefully, I would just be one of the people that actually did go to the party and didn't know anything else. Now, I would be smooth out of there once you start talking all this crazy shit at any age.
Oh yeah.
Because there has to be, there's an intro that somebody has said there's like 7 different rooms. Once the second party starts, they say. So this guy he talks about. So the first room we just go and it's just like this, right? So we're just like drinking.
No, we're
We're just
drinking.
drinking our drinks and we're talking. There's some music playing.
There's
music playing and there's a timer on the wall, like a 15-minute timer.
Oh really?
That goes off. Doors open. Everybody goes into the second room. Second room, he's like, okay, it gets a.
Is this like a real thing?
Yeah, this is
that you're
actually
saying?
an eyewitness story. Is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
okay,
This
okay.
isn't me like postulating. This is an
Right.
eyewitness story. So the guy goes into the second room, and he's like, okay, he's like, it's still cool. You know, the music's playing, music's getting good, drinks are getting better. You know, because now you're on like your fifth drink. Boom, boom, boom. He said the clock's still going on the wall, music's going, nothing feels
Nothing's
too,
weird.
He said couple people making out. Boy, girl over here in the corner making out, but it's, you know, normal shit that happens at a party, but we're amping it up a little bit. It's amped up. Timer goes off. You go into the third room.
Who is making these parties with timers? What a
Diddy.
nerd. What a nerd.
Well, he just had some money to. So anyway, you go to the third room. Third room starts getting a little weird, right? Like all of a sudden, it's like,
Some people got their clothes off and having
well,
sex.
no,
in front
but
of
no,
you?
not by the no.
Not
'Cause
yet?
There's 7 rooms. So by the third room,
7.
So by the
Oh
third,
God, I'm amping it
by
up.
the
for
third
the
room, he
seventh
said it's just kind of like, oh, those dudes are making out.
The
It's
seventh
like,
room, Satan shows up.
yeah. Oh, there's dudes making out. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. It's not my thing, but whatever. I'm not used to seeing dudes making out. There they are making out. There's people. They're dancing over there on the table, and the guy took his shirt off. Right? Okay. It's a little extra step of wild, which is the fourth room you go in. Now, by the fourth room, he said there's like rappers having sex with each other in
No.
open, and in the open. Just he said, kind of, it's starting to get debauched. It's starting to feel like.
Now you heard that Ice Cube was like, I ain't never been
I
in
ain't never-
those Diddy parties.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I've always loved Ice Cube.
Me too. Yeah. So the guy ends up making. So he said by the fourth room, he's kind of like standing against the wall, just like, holy shit! Like this is way more because he's drinking, I guess, slow enough, or maybe the effects hadn't hit him, or maybe they don't feed you the extra to like the sixth room or something. So this guy only makes it to the fifth. So the fifth room,
Obviously planned.
So the fifth room, after the 30-minute timer goes off, this time I think it gets longer in each room too. So it's like 15 minutes, and then by the time you're in the fifth room, it's maybe an hour, right? Time he gets to the fifth room, it's like debauched. It's whatever you can see is happening, and he goes to Diddy. He goes to Diddy or to somebody in one of Diddy's security. He's like, hey yo, he's like, hey, I'm just not comfortable. I need to get out of here. And they're like, you know what they said?
But
Sure, man, no problem.
yeah, bye.
They said, sure, man, no problem.
You hadn't made it to the room yet where you sign your soul.
He said, they were like, man, he said, to my surprise, they were like, sure, man, no problem. They brought a security guard. They signaled security guard over. They're like,
This guy wants to go.
hey, Mike's not comfortable anymore. Can you make sure he gets out safe? Boom. He said, they walked me out. They said, open the door. And they were like, that. The guy just walked me down the hallway, opened the door.
See ya.
I shut the door. I was standing in he said it was like a backyard. Best way I can describe it. He's like just the backyard of a house.
Huh.
No lights, no party going on back there. No nothing. Just like, you can meander out to the
messed
street.
up thing is though is like you get to that point and you're like, am I going to be invited to one of these again?
No, he never. No, that was
Never
it.
again.
Never
That's
again.
it. So never again.
So you think about,
But that's a good thing.
so if this guy's story is valid, which I mean, the way he's telling the story, right? It sounds really valid.
Right.
That's a pretty smart way they've engineered this thing.
That is pretty smart.
Nothing illegal's even happening. He's like,
That's
he's like
really
all
smart.
all the way up to the room I'm in. He said, you're not even seeing illegal.
Let me ask you.
You're not even
this.
seeing the illegal drugs.
Let me-
Nothing illegal's happening.
Let me ask you this: you think Diddy's that smart, or do you think there's something way more sinister that's smarter than him?
No, because I think this has been going on for I've said this on the podcast too, that I thought this has been going on for like 100 years, right?
Yeah.
Since like
These are like old Hollywood parties.
these-
These mansions that have many rooms.
so these are, it's no secret. They're like, hey, look, people are going to get
weirded.
people are going to get weirded out. You have to be polite to them when they want to leave.
Yep.
You have to make sure nothing illegal's happening until we get to like room 6 or
And
probably room 7.
See who people are like down with the shit.
He said but if you get to room 7, it's got to be. Now that's where it's illegal. He's like, but
Yeah.
hey, he's like, the 5 rooms I was in.
Now there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah, 5 rooms I was in. He's like, no
You're
cameras,
here.
no drugs, no children. He said,
You're here, and if you leave and you don't say anything, you're implicated.
now he still had to sign an NDA agreement just to get invited to start the
See,
process. That was the start of the after party. He said that starts at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Go
Just-
progress to those rooms.
that would be that seems to me like it doesn't seem standard, but you would think that just because like people in Hollywood don't want people to see them partying, but not like illegal shit like crazy shit, but like don't want to see him like get
doing
drunk
some cocaine
and
or-
doing some cocaine and getting drunk and whatever, and then like
Sure, that's how you-
and then on TMZ you be like, hey man, this is like
Well,
we're partying, we're letting loose,
that's
it's cool.
That's what it's trying. That's what it's trying to build up to. So
Yeah.
this guy's done this interview long before these investigations started.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a cool because the way he's described it,
Dude,
I was
that's
like,
crazy.
I was like, that's
So smart.
He's like, that's what because he goes, there's no law being broke. There's no. It's just uncomfortable watching two rappers bang each other on the couch.
The problem is when the law's broke and you don't go to the law.
Yeah,
then
you're
on the hook too.
He said no way. He said no way by 2 more rooms. He said I can't imagine what the next room was. He's like I couldn't get through this room. He's like the next room. He said and room 1 honestly felt like an ice cream social.
This is where all like the trafficking and child trafficking and shit comes in, is like room 7.
Room 7. Or they just maybe even tell you about room 7 and then there's something beyond after you get to room 7 where you see everything. It could be like, and now the main event. Lights and lasers.
And now we've got the reptilian people are here.
Well, because the girl that was a child prostitute that's come out speaking on everything that's all over everything. She talks about you'll just be on the table. He said they'll hit a but. She said in the room I'm in, they'll hit a button and it'll go like, and then just the music will start. She's like the lights will change. She's like that's my cue to get on. If I'm not on, my pimp's gonna kill me. So that's my cue. Like,
oh my god.
Boom. So you get and then so if guys coming around, you got to blow him. You got to grab him. You got to whatever he wants to do with any of the party favors. There might be 10 party favors, 10 of these girls, these kids on tables. But she said literally Diddy would hit a button and it would cause all the lights and the music and everything to amp up, and that's when because that's when you knew
terrible.
like obviously that's when a new group was walking in.
Awful.
Or so we got the new group's coming into this room. Hey, we got party favors in this room, yo, and like off and running.
I'm so off put by all this because like I grew up in the 90s and I was like, who's hot, who's not, who sells out and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh man, they were doing all that. Come on. It's a far cry from like Def Leppard taking a break while the drummer did his solo and girls in the front row wanted to come blow the guys
And
under the stage.
having sex with
that was
groupies.
Consensual. But
Consensual,
like,
good sex, but how many? You don't know
how many of them were
How many
underage?
of those were 15, 14,
how many of them were
13?
14 years
And
old? That's fucked up.
And that groupie deal with now it's a different time, but like the 70s through the 90s and groupies, like I'm just for the sake of my own sanity, I'm gonna say all the groupies were 18 or older, and they obviously they were all consenting.
They weren't.
But
though.
at least in those situations, I don't want to say at least about any of that, but
Do you
everyone was
think?
consenting.
Okay, let me tell you this: a good security guy who points out whoever checks IDs. If you don't have an ID, you're out of here.
Yeah.
Unless Jimmy Page is like that one, no matter what.
Well, we know what Jimmy Page did.
Well, that's why I said that.
I mean,
That's it's a bad joke.
Yeah,
it's a bad joke.
He literally had girls locked up, and lock her up in the room. Lori Maddox.
I don't understand what's going on with all that. Like, I don't understand the. I mean, a lot of people even get mad at me that are older than me about Elvis. But you watch that Elvis thing, and I mean, like when
Bro,
Elvis
and his tickle parties, quit trying to make it right.
Elvis
people
was
trying
like,
to make
I'm
that
not
right.
trying to
Not
make it
you.
right.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that try to make it right.
I think like Priscilla was what 13, 14 years
14.
old, and he was in the army.
Yeah.
Like and to her parents, fuck you. To be like, oh, it's Elvis. Well, this celebrity has taken a liking to our child. We should just go ahead and send her off.
It's okay.
Let's just send our child
My
off.
mom would never.
What?
Would your mom?
No.
My mom would
hell
never.
No. Hey, and there's a funny
Even if I was
joke.
begging, like, I really want to go to the
One of my favorite shows on Netflix is BoJack Horseman, and in one of the BoJack Horseman things, he loses his best friend Todd, and he sees like an underage kid that looks like Todd, but there's no sexual thing about it. It's just that he wants to have a friend that looks like Todd because Todd was like his best friend or is like lackey or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
There's many debates about BoJack Horseman, but the parents of this kid go, this this celebrity is taking a liking to our child. Should we just let him do whatever he wants? And the mother was like, yeah, we should probably just let him, whatever.
Yeah, like
And it's like, what?
well, this is a rock and roll.
And that happened with Elvis and like this kid. They're just like, oh yeah, go to the States and hang out with Elvis.
Ted Nugent at 33 adopted a teenager to have sex with, and married.
It's fucked up.
He adopted her. She was like 14 or 15. Guess who else adopted somebody?
We're also talking about like Ted Nugent isn't somebody who had at that time he didn't have millions and millions of dollars, did he?
Oh yeah, Ted Nugent was
he did?
massive in like 70s.
Oh, he did?
Massive.
70s millions?
Oh
In the
my
70s?
God!
Really?
With Cat Scratch Fever
Oh,
and
shit,
Stranglehold
yeah. Oh, yeah,
was
yeah.
out, and rock was the #1 genre of
In the
music in the world.
70s, if you had a number one song, you had millions
He had
and
way
millions
more
and
than,
millions
but
of dollars?
he had like 4 huge. He was playing to like 80,000 people and headlining over like.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Nuge.
Like,
the Nuge was a big,
he
big
should
deal.
get an underage girl
Yeah.
to have sex with.
The Nuge-
Apparently, yeah.
The
that's
Nuge, he was like headlining
why is
over,
this? Why
over
is this
Aerosmith.
Why is this the going thing for these guys? Why is
Like-
that the going thing?
Like when you become.
why
when
doesn't
you reach
anybody?
this level
Why,
of
why
fame.
doesn't anybody like want like a 45-year-old lady who's been
Well, I
around
get
the
that,
block
but
and
why not
like
like a
makes it happen?
25-year-old or 30-year-old?
Makes it happen for you.
You could maybe at least in their 20s. You know what I mean? Like
20s is good.
20s is
Not
fine.
not for me. Now that I don't like young people.
Yeah.
Sorry, young people. You kind of fucked up.
Well, we understand what the arrangement here is with these stars, but yeah, why do they immediately want like, and they go like with Nugent's deal, he goes so far as to adopt her, and so did Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. He adopted a teenager to date.
Stop. No.
Yes. Yes.
Steven Tyler did that.
And Ted Nugent and Jimmy Page stole a 14-year-old and kept her locked in a
Yeah,
hotel
I know
room
that. I knew that
because he
That's
was
fucked up.
worried she might go sleep with another member of Zeppelin, and he just said, "I have to have her."
The
That's what he
lead
said.
singer?
He said, "I must have her." That's what he said.
We know it wasn't the bass player.
No, and Jimmy Page walks in the room when he first meets her. Walks in with a top hat and cane, like some kind of comic book.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, like
The Dumb and Dumber.
He literally did that. He walked in like she said. He like appeared in the doorway, like with a cane and top hat, and like leaned against the door and was like,
What are you
It is-
doing, Samson?
It is you. Now, like I love Led Zeppelin, but we have to like it's patently absurd. Like you just think of all
Come here.
the amount of coke and shit people had to do it. That they thinking this is. I'll show this 14-year-old girl who's boss. He trying to get in the podcast.
Yeah. Samson's in the podcast. What? They're outside. You're good.
So I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's
why.
such a weird. Beat it. It's such a weird thing.
And there were songs about it back. Think about the song "Jailbait" by Motorhead.
Ugh.
I don't.
I've always been
I don't
just
care
trying
that
to
you're
write.
underage.
I've
All I care
always
is
been
that you're
trying to write
backstage.
songs like Pearl Jam, where you like are talking about something and nobody knows. Where you're like, "Hell's wrong, got out of my head and got it on my head," and I don't understand like why. I don't understand the whole underage thing.
Because
with girls.
it's rebellion. It's because think of Motley Crue's song. Remember that song from "Girls, Girls, Girls"? You probably weren't even listening back to the book. They had that song.
No, I listened to that, but
It was "She's only 15."
Oh,
She's the
God.
reason. The
They
reason
have a
that
song?
yeah, she's the reason that I can't sleep. Then he says, "You say illegal, I say legal's never been my scene."
oh my
yeah.
god, are you serious?
Yeah, so I remember playing like Kung Fu on Nintendo,
Oh
jamming out.
my
Of course,
God.
I'm 11, so
Yeah,
they're
you're
about a
not
15-year-old.
yeah, you don't
No, I am
listen.
listening. I was listening intently, but to me, as an 11 or 12-year-old, you're thinking, he's fine.
Come on, bro.
Go.
Go.
They're singing about a 15-year-old. To me, that's an older woman because I'm 11, so I'm just playing
yeah.
Kung Fu. Like,
You don't
she's
get it.
only 15. She's the reason that I can't sleep.
Well, the other thing is you bring it up to like Blink-182, where like I fell in love with the girl at the rock show, and he's talking about sneaking into her window, and her parents are out of
But
town.
he's singing that song from the perspective of a teenager.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I fell in
In
love
that
with the
case-
girl at the rock show.
Yeah, he fell in love with the girl at the rock show he was going to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he's writing that from.
Okay.
I always
He's writing that from the
perspective of a
fan's-
fan. When he
fan's
was a
perspective.
teenage fan, sneaking. I mean,
okay.
we all snuck girls out like when we were teenagers. That's okay to do when you're. I mean, it's not okay to sneak out of your house, kids, and get girls. But
Right.
when you're 14, you're going to sneak out a 14-year-old girl.
Right.
It's all good, right?
That's fine.
Like I'm only going to be so mad as a
It's
parent.
not okay if you're 22 sneaking a 14-year-old
If you're 22 and you're going anywhere near the high school.
Yeah, don't do that.
Or you're 32, damn
If
sure.
you're not, the only time you should go near the high school is you're driving by in the morning going to work.
Going to work or you're teaching there.
Or you're and then sometimes that doesn't actually work out.
So
well.
I think to answer your question, I think from the Motley Crue and the Motorhead, who I love Motorhead, God, but their perspective is coming from just like this is just rebellion. I'm rock and roll, do what I want to do. And like
Right.
at that time, like no one even said anything about that stuff back then. Like we just,
Nobody said shit about it.
too late, jailbait.
No, it's like nobody paid any attention to lyrics
They
back
didn't.
then.
They still don't because people been rapping about what Diddy's been doing for 10 years.
Yeah.
And people just, those rappers are crazy.
Yeah, how artistic.
How artistic. Well, you can always just claim artistic license, right?
You can.
Anything I said, I said.
Yeah, because it's not real.
It's not real.
Even the television you have in your house, the FCC rules that as entertainment. So the news can say anything they want, and when it comes across your television,
That's
it's
what-
entertainment.
What'd they say?
It doesn't have to be real. Doesn't have to be real.
What did Fox say in their case? You remember that?
Uh-uh.
And when Fox got sued for doing all that misinformation around election interference, they put all those misinformation and lies out. When it actually went to court, they were like, "Well, we're just entertainment. No one believed." They said no reasonable person believes this is news. That's what they
Your
said.
television is under the FCC guise of entertainment. If it comes through, it can be disputed.
Imagine under oath. Under oath, they said no reasonable person would think Fox News was news.
Yeah. It's not. We call it news, but guess what? It's on television. It's entertainment.
So that's the same thing you can do with the music. But they were,
It's set up like
they
that.
put all this stuff about, well, it's free speech, which I support. But I don't have a problem with any of those songs if you're writing them from if you're writing them from a teenager's point of view, then I don't have a problem with the song. No difference than if you're writing, just I don't have a problem with a murder song if you're just writing like something, a vision you have. Good art can be dark,
right?
But
yeah,
sometimes
and
it's
it
telling
should
you
be, and it
something.
should be.
Yeah, it should be
at points. It
100%
should be.
Yeah.
You should be able to say whatever you want to say with art.
But should you want to say that you like 15-year-olds with your?
It all comes down to, do you want to look like a dirtbag in court?
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, am I gonna write songs that talk about stuff? No, I'm not. I'm gonna write songs that I want to write about, stupid shit, and be funny.
Yeah.
Or maybe.
But a lot of it's not real.
Maybe be a little enlightening.
But some of it's not real, so it's just art, right?
Well, you got to think about Eminem writing songs about killing his wife or killing his ex-wife and
that's
his
all
girlfriend, and
protecting the
riding
First
around in
Amendment.
California while she's dead and saying hi, doing all that.
But he didn't really do that.
But he didn't really do
it's how
that.
he gets that.
That's the artistic part of
the
it.
same thing Motley Crue could say, but
Yeah.
you hear that now and go, oh, nobody would make that song now, right?
No.
Nobody would make that.
Well, nobody would buy that song now. It was a different time back then.
Totally different time.
Totally different time.
Well,
but the problem is there was a lot of bands before them, like Jimmy Page, who were doing that shit, and then they wrote, they write girls.
We treated 14 and 15-year-olds like adults when we were 14 and 15.
I
feel like we did.
I don't know if I did.
Really? I just felt like we got to grow up real fast. Gen X got to grow up.
Well,
real
we
fast.
did. Gen X did grow up real fast.
fast.
I feel like.
So we didn't look at sometimes.
I don't know. I wasn't very sexual. Like,
I'm not even talking about sexual. I'm just talking about we just grew up real fast. Like we were just around
I did.
things.
I was alone a lot. I drove.
Taking care of yourself.
I went to the bus stop on a motorcycle, parked it in a guy's barn.
Yeah.
Dropped off.
Probably when you're 10.
My mom wasn't. My mom actually drove a bus, and she left super early. And I didn't go to the same school that she rode the bus.
Yeah.
This is in Virginia, outside of Washington D.C. And I got up myself, and got myself ready. I'm in the 6th, 7th grade. Jumped on a motorcycle, and not one of those fucking crank up motorcycles, like kick motorcycle. For all of y'all that don't know, you kick a motorcycle when you're 11 years old to drive it to the bus stop a mile away. and then park it in a.
So I think, and I think also,
you know what I mean, like we
and I
kind
think
of had it we kind of had it a little bit tougher.
and I think Gen X was the first. We were really the kind of like the first ones to take in music as art. Like I don't think
Right.
the Boomers kind of they listened to it a little bit and then they let it go, and we didn't. We kind of so we were the only ones dissecting it. Oh, look at
Come here,
him!
Mav. You
Look
wanna
at
be-
Mav. Give him some camera
Mav.
time.
Hey, Mav. Look at you.
What's up, dude? Chunky
Look,
butt.
Look at Mav. Hey, look. Hey, buddy. Look at this. You got your ball there, huh?
Hey,
Hey, look.
he,
Look.
hey, Maverick. He's right on time. He can tell everybody bye.
He's so pretty on camera. Go ahead, say it. Say what's
Tell
up.
him
everybody.
Maverick. Say what's up.
What's up, 12 people that watch this? What's going on?